Hello and welcome to A Cat in the Garden. Still in Pennsylvania, but today I'm at Ashcombe. I think it's like greenhouses and nursery. It is really cool here, so I wanted to take you guys along. Here shopping with my mom today, so we're gonna go have fun and let's just get right to it. I love the barn, you know, the look of it with the barn. Yeah. It's very cute. That's what makes it fun. A lot of petunias hanging out. Very cute. All right, my mom and I first decided to head into the tropical greenhouse. This was in a medium silver for $34. They had a bunch of them. They looked like they had just gotten in, maybe a shipment or something. They were toward the front next to some silver sword. They were, I believe, $17.99, and they were looking pretty good. Not as many of those here. And then there was this like really cool, weird flower here. I don't think this is considered a houseplant, but they do keep things other than typical houseplants in this greenhouse, as you'll see in a little bit. Like those dianthus right there, that is not a houseplant, but you know, they're just making room where they can. I was really surprised to see this Anthurium luxurians here for only $25. I'm just not used to Pennsylvania, like middle of nowhere Pennsylvania greenhouses having Anthurium. So I was shocked by that, even though luxurians isn't a rare Anthurium by any means. And then they had like a lot of ivy, philodendron Brazil, all of those sorts of things that you just normally see, I guess. I couldn't see a price on those, I don't think. There we go, $7.99. Not terrible. But yeah, so that moss right there, actually my husband has one of those and he planted it in my parents' house and it's still alive, and that was I think 5 years ago. There was this marble queen pothos, one of my favorites. I think it was $10. I just pick them up every time I see them because I love them. I just think they're the best. They're my favorite pothos. Honestly, if I could just have a bunch of them, I would. And then there were golden pothos. I was explaining to my mom that was the plant that she bought me at an estate sale, like an heirloom golden pothos, and it's the one that the bird is having babies in on my porch, so it's looking really sad right now. But in the back, there were some half-price plants. These geraniums were really cool, but they weren't quite cheap enough for my mom to want to buy them, which I totally understand because they're a bit bigger. And then there were actually houseplants back here. Some were looking better than others, I'll say that. The Alocasia sinuata was still like $20 on clearance. I was like, Alocasia hate me to begin with, so let's not do that. But behind the clearance section was an herb section. So here was some blue borage. I was explaining to my mom that I have this plant and I love the flowers. She was just like happy and along for the ride, honestly, with this one. But the herb section was really cool. It was really nice to look at everything. I was talking to her about the lavender because we both really love lavender. And she grows a lot more of it than I do. I just got my first plants this year, but she's like an expert at growing it. So it was nice to talk to her about it, and her plants are doing really well. There was some thyme. I did notice some variegated peppermint, which I'd never seen before. I mean, mint is just a weed, so like I can't grow it, and it attracts wasps, so that's not the best situation either. But it was cool to see. And then we saw some bok choy. My mom absolutely loves bok choy. She was looking at the purple one for quite a bit. And we saw the rosemary, just all the typical herbs you would see, just with some rare ones, like the variegated peppermint just thrown in there casually. But it was nice. It was nice to look at the herbs. I think that if anybody really wants to get into outdoor edible gardening, herb gardens are a great first step to that. So it's just really nice to look at them. Variegated thyme, just all the nice things. And then right behind them, I was like, wait a second, I missed all of these houseplants. There was the philodendron orange marmalade back there. I guess I picked up the soderoy first. I don't know. I was just really excited to talk about the marmalade because if I remember right, it was a really good price. Yeah, it was like $30 something, I think. And they had several of them. That one was just like not in their section. And there were some philodendron ring of fire. These were not as well priced. They were $60. So I was like, ooh, gotta put that back. They go for a lot cheaper in Texas. So I was like, Nah, there were more of the marmalades right there. Just really cool, not a plant that you normally see in a garden center. Then they had some Monstera Thai Constellation. These were $125, which I feel like is slightly high for one that size, but it's not crazy. I don't know. What do you think? I'm not always sure what the market is for those because in Texas they're insanely cheap. So I don't always get the best gauge on it. Then I saw the Costa Farms Aglaonemas. I was like, okay, I've seen you before. I do like the bamboo one though. I just can't keep an aglaonema alive unless I keep it in water. Then I saw these slightly bigger Thai constellations and some little tiny ones for $80. They were just all mixed in together. So that was a little confusing, but that's okay. The new leaf on that one was looking gorgeous. I was showing my mom. I was like, Mom, look at this. It's so cool. She just loves looking at all of them. So she was like, yeah, it's awesome. And some Cebu Blues. I love this plant so much. I don't currently have one. Just because, oh, she was helping me put it back. She's so nice. But yeah, I don't currently have one. I would like to get one again someday, but I really want it climbing and I just don't have as much room for common climbing plants right now. This bromeliad, I think it was a bromeliad, maybe not. It looked kind of cool. I like the bright pink. Don't really know how I would care for a plant like that, but it's okay. There were also some snake plants, you know, common babies, totally okay. And over here, some philodendron. This looked like the golden goddess, I believe, as well as more Brazil. And then I was explaining to my mom that those were the small form Monstera because I was talking to her earlier about the difference between the large form and small form. She was like, oh, that's cool. And here was a billy that I could not for the life of me get untangled. But it's there. It's there. They had billies. This was like the only big one, so I was really trying to get it out, but it just wasn't working. And then the Xanthosoma and some Alocasia maharani. I also wasn't really about to get that one out too much. I was like, why is it in the shade though? I feel like that is one of my favorite Alocasia, so I always want to like bring it forward. Just because it's so cute. I don't know. I love it. And then these are the Costa Farms Silver Dragons. They were looking fine, you know. They were looking like a Costa Farms plant. And some Alocasia cuprea, and I believe they were pretty well priced at like $20. Yeah, $20. So I think for that size, that is a great price. It's not my favorite Alocasia in the world. And then this unnamed Scindapsus, I'm assuming it's Exotica, but I feel like most places do not label their Scindapsus, and if they do, it's just all over the place. It'll say like satin pothos or something. And some Baltic blue. I was telling my mom, I was like, I cannot believe I searched like every garden center for months straight looking for one, and now like nobody cares about them. This plant was really cool. I'd never seen anything like it before. I loved the fuzzy leaves, kind of like an African violet, but I thought it looked a little cooler. My mom was like showing me the name because I was like, I can't find the name. But yeah, they were cool. And then we were touching all of the leaves of every plant, every fuzzy plant, because you have to if they're fuzzy. I feel like it's a requirement. They had really nice, healthy looking African violets. And then I did miss this section earlier, so I wanted to come back and see if there was anything cool. There were these prayer plants, which I believe were $9 or $10. But then the really cool thing was right next to them. I was like, how did I miss this? These are a variegated Alocasia macrorrhiza. At first, from a distance, I thought that they were a colocasia. They were not. And they were only $60. And for one with this kind of variegation pattern that looks so cool, I was like, I would pay $60 for that. That is so freaking cool. I don't know. I just couldn't get over them. My mom was like, do you want one? And I was like, I don't think that's going to ship well because it's an Alocasia, and then I'd probably kill it anyway. But I can admire it and just think that it is one of the coolest Alocasia I have ever seen. So I spent way too long looking at that plant, but it was awesome. It was a lot of fun. Then they had some giant jungle boogie, and I just wanted to give a quick overview of the greenhouse before we moved on to the next section, which had a lot of shade plants like these begonias, and next to them some carnivorous plants that my mom was pointing out, some ferns, and then more of the like outdoor shade plants. But there was this weird begonia I had to show my mom. I was like, Mom, this is really weird, but that's okay. Weird begonias are cool too. And then yeah, outdoor plants, but they had them in this greenhouse just to keep them safe from the temperatures. And a lot of these are on the more tropical side, like these, I think it's colocasia or caladium. This one was called a frog in a blender. My mom really did not like the name. She was like, that's really gross. And I'm like, yeah, but it's kind of cool. At the same time, she was not having it. Then we're looking at the more outdoor begonias. These are annuals in Pennsylvania, so That's why they're getting a little bit more protection in here. And some of the shade plants like these fuchsia, I was looking at this one and then I saw next to it, I was like, wait, there's a variegated one. That's even cooler. So we were looking at that. Unfortunately, my mom does not have a lot of shade in her garden. I mean, she does in some places, but not in the places where she puts flowers. And I don't have any either. So we just admire them whenever we're at a garden center. And then I've been coming here since I was a kid and I never noticed the floors. But they also had some fruits and veggie plants. Like these were some watermelon. There were more squash, more tomatoes and peppers and all sorts of things here. More annuals. Like this greenhouse just goes on forever. And then they did have some tropical plants like this beautiful hibiscus. I couldn't get over the yellow flowers. I just thought they were really cool. But I wanted to give a quick overview of the greenhouse here before we moved outside because my mom saw a sign and the whole time we were in there, she was like, we gotta go see the bunnies. So we walked over and they did have a couple of rabbits here, which I don't remember seeing when I was a kid. It is very hard to see, but there's a rabbit right there. My camera did not like trying to focus, so I apologize. But then there was another rabbit in the other enclosure. And my camera like got its act together at one point, but it was like way in the back, so you couldn't see it super well, but they're still cute. I mean, it was nice to look at. They were out napping, but nice to see. So pretty. Really nice spot to sit out and hang out. These are pretty. So all be blooming soon. There's some gallon tomatoes. Aromas. Nice. I think it's right on the other side. They might not connect, but a little goldfish in there. Very cute. Oh, they're splashing around. Lots of little goldfish. Hanging out. Okay, we just got back and it's kind of hot out, so I figured I would jump out of the car, but we had a ton of fun plant shopping today. We didn't buy anything at Ashcombe, but it was really cool to see. They had a couple of koi ponds, they had rabbits, they had birds, all sorts of different plants. It was really just nice to walk around and get some fresh air because the rain finally let up and it is such a beautiful day. But thank you so much for coming along with me for this plant shopping trip. If you like this video, make sure to give me a thumbs up down below and subscribe so you don't miss anything else from the channel. Thanks again, and I'll catch you in the next one.